Hey guys, today we're going to be making one of my favorite recipes, stuffed flat loaves. So let's get started. First, you're going to need about 4 potatoes. For these, we're just going to rinse them off, kind of clean out the outside and all the dirt and stuff like that, and then you're going to put them into a large pot and fill it with water and a bit of salt and boil them until they're soft on the inside. Meanwhile, let's work on the fillings. First, you're going to add a whole red and a whole green bell pepper to a food processor and just pulse that until it's nice and fine like this. You don't want it too far because it gets all watery, just a little bit. You're then going to move this over to the stove, but we're making 2 flat loaves here, so we're going to split this in half, as you see here. And you see all the water down there? Yep, our goal is to get rid of that. So we're going to try to dry this out as much as possible because if we bake it like how it is now, it's going to make the bread super soggy. So just add half of this to a pan with oil and salt. The salt helps draw a little bit more of that water as well. And this process takes 5 to 7 minutes. This is what it should look like when you're finished. Let's move on to the meat fillings now. We're going to need a pound of ground turkey, the other half of our vegetable mixture, and then a bit of salt. We're going to be doing the same thing here, just try to dry it out as much as possible. So a little bit of oil and then salt and pepper. We're also, I nearly forgot, add 1 teaspoon cumin and a half of paprika as well. And here's your meat filling, nice and dried out for the bread. This one took a little bit closer to 7 minutes. Alright, now it's time to combine both of our vegetable and meat fillings. To do that, we're going to take half of our potatoes, so 2, and you're going to mash them with a potato masher. Just as a reminder, we are doing 2 loaves, so we're splitting everything in half. We're going to put our full amount of our veggie filling into the potatoes. Then we're going to be adding to that 1/4 cup of milk. And then our seasonings. So this is going to be a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon parsley, teaspoon chives, half a teaspoon pepper, and half a teaspoon of thyme. Alright, finally, let's mix. And here we go. This is our filling. So this is our veggie filling. If you just want veggie, you could just do 2 of these instead of doing the meat option. But if you're doing the meat option, you're going to be adding a 1/4 cup of milk to the potatoes, same amount of seasonings. But you're also going to be adding that meat portion as well. You're going to mix this up just like the veggie filling. And finally, there's your filling. Yeah, I know this one doesn't look the prettiest, but don't worry, it tastes very good. Alright, it's time for my favorite part, the bread. For this, we're going to be doing the full batch all together. So you're going to add 2 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, 4 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 1/2 cup of warm milk to a stand mixer bowl. After that rests for about 10 minutes or so, add 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Then you're going to add in 2 eggs. And then finally, you're going to add about 4 cups of bread flour to start. We're going to do 5 cups in all, but we're just going to do 4 just in case. And we're also going to be adding in 2 teaspoons of salt. So you're going to mix this, and then you're going to add that additional cup of flour if needed. It should look like this when it's ready. And you can touch it. If it bounces back, it's not really too sticky, then you know you're done. Add your dough ball to a greased bowl, and then you're going to cover it and let it rise in a warm place for 30 minutes. Alright, time to assemble. First things first, we're going to flour a surface and dump out our little dough ball onto that surface. You're going to push it down, it should have a little bit of air bubbles in it. And we're going to cut this in half because this dough makes 2 loaves. So you're going to cut this in half, doesn't have to be perfect, just do your best. And we're going to set the other half aside for now. So you're going to reflour your surface, add just half of the dough, and you're going to try to get into a nice round circle. Then you're going to roll this out. Doesn't have to be too thin, you're looking for about, I'd say like a little bit larger, or so I should say thicker than a 1/4 inch. Then you're going to add your filling. You really want to have, so like, I guess for a nice ruler, see how much to roll out your dough. You want a good 1/2 foot, I'd say. around your filling, like of dough, if that makes sense. You're gonna add your cheese on top. I'm doing a cup of mozzarella here, and then a half cup of the white cheddar cheese, sharp white cheddar. You're then gonna take the dough and fold it over the center. And you want it to overlap here to make sure you don't have any holes, because it will spill out in the oven and that's not nice. So after you do that, push it down with your hands, and then you're gonna seal it off with a rolling pin. The next comes, I'd say, the scary part. You're gonna have to flip this over seam side down onto a baking sheet. Just hope you will be okay. It was a little scary, but it was fine. It doesn't come apart if you are good with folding it over correctly. You're gonna set this aside then and let it proof for about 30 minutes. This is what it should look like when it's done. You're then gonna brush the top with milk. And finally, for the veggie loaf, I like adding freeze-dried chives and then sea salt. Then you're gonna push little holes in it with your fingers. This helps keep it flat and not rise too much in the oven. Then we're gonna bake. But first, repeat all these steps with your second piece of bread. But for the meat one, I did do milk and then I did the sesame seeds instead of the chives with the sea salt. You're gonna bake both of these at 350 for about 25 to, I'd say, 30 minutes, or until it's nice and golden like this. And boy, do these look amazing. We're gonna let these cool down a little bit before slicing for about 10 minutes. And there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is definitely one of my absolute favorite recipes, and so I really hope you guys like this one. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.